The other thing, John has put together what he thought ought to be in the statement, and as Buchanan working on putting just a quick look together, and I think we ought to see what he has in mind, because maybe there is some argument for it. I sure don't see it at this point.
What you think? As I told you last night, Mr. President, I think it is better to wait until you have a forum that
the forum we can produce.
I don't use the forum.
Absolutely, you're right.
I can produce the forum tomorrow night. Anytime I want, I can go on.
Just by sitting in your chair, putting a camera.
Right.
I don't have the feeling that it is the right time.
Whether it's the right time to say something about these papers, that's the real question. It's the time. Forget the forum. Because that's when anybody argues the forum is simply dodging the issue. You say, well, I wouldn't do it now or at this place. The question is, should we do it? That's what I want to address themselves. But my own view is that we should not do it. Because I think it's just as well to let it simmer. I don't feel that there's any way I can do it without sounding defensive about our answers. I want to answer the questions. I want to explain to the American people that we're really not repressing the press. I'm sure that's exactly the way Early put it. That's what he's concerned about. Well, Mitchell, that's Mitchell's concern. I agree. Maybe it is John.
I don't think it'll be Buchanan.
Buchanan? Never.
Buchanan's. That's why I'd like to see what he's drafting.
Okay. We address. Get me that OIC. I'd like to have a recommendation by 1 o'clock off the day. You could probably find some guy that just fits that. Well, there must be a man that I can call it. I want it accountable to anybody but me. I'm going to run this thing. You've got to have this done.
Well, you need an interview. One thing that we came up with, that John and I were talking about, that it really seems to me is the way we should do that, so that we got a practical means of doing it, is to get a congressman. And you got a couple of possibilities. You got 3 new congressmen, one of which might be the right guy. One is McCarthy, the new guy from Denver, who's a former district attorney. Freshman congressman, very sharp, tough, feisty young guy. Another is Russell, who...
No. You can't go that far. You can use Russell, but I cannot have Russell have a direct contact with me.
Well, you don't... No congressman on this should have a direct contact.
What I need, I want a man in this White House staff who's full-time on the 2 things. Now maybe, why don't we just get Houston back? Because I can think of anybody else.
Well, we probably can, but
is he adequate for it?
I don't know.
That's the problem. I need a man, but I don't. You can do it, but you only have half time. Earlier was half time. Colson's half time. Everybody else. I need one man directly responsible to me that I can run on. So I know how to. This has got to be won and fought in the newspapers and in the tape television. Now, see, the difficulty is all the good lawyers are Dick Moore, John Ehrlichman, and of course Mitchell even more so, are always saying, well, we've got to win the court case. Screw the court case. We're through with this court case. As far as I don't want that fellow Ellsberg to be brought up until after the election. I mean, just convict the son of a bitch in the press. That's the way it's done. I can't emphasize too much. I mean, nobody ever reads into my biographies. Go back and read the chapter on the Hiss case in 6 Crises, and you'll see how it was done. It wasn't done waiting for the goddamn courts, or the Attorney General, or the FBI. I fought all of them. Everyone had to prove it himself. That's the way it's done. And we have got to get going here.
But if we can get the right guy in the Congress where he can work with his immunity and his
Still say things, I agree.
step removed position and all that, don't you have a better chance of getting it done? If you get a creep like Nixon in the woodworks, or any other creep that we get in the woodwork here, what can he do? He can't do what you did in his case.
No, you're not.
He can't move it to the papers.
I'm not even talking about moving it. Colson can move it to the papers. That doesn't bother me a bit.
Not very well.
Here's what I'm concerned about. Well, then he can move it to a congressman. The difficulty that I'm concerned about is getting the facts to move to the papers. That has to be done by a man directly. And in charge of looking over the Pentagon Papers, not Pentagon Papers, but the papers on the Cuban Missile Crisis, on the Bay of Pigs, on World War II, and Korea. Who the hell is doing that? And pulling out everything that might embarrass members of the establishment. See, who's going to do that? That can't be done by John Roosevelt. That's got to be done by, that's what I mean, Bob. I need a man, a commander, an officer in charge here in the White House that I can call when I wake up, as I did last night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I can say, I don't care. I want to do this, and this, get going. See my voice? And a guy also that'll have the initiative to go out and do a few of these things. Now, we don't have the setup at the present time. You've got in this place, you've got at least 10 magnificent soldiers and no captain. Everybody has an idea. They send me a nice little memorandum, this and that. There's no captain of them on this score. Somebody's got to pull this together. John can't do it. John Arlington can't. He's got too much to do. You know what I mean? He's got to go back, and we've got to decide whether we're going to pollute Lake Erie or some damn thing, or what we're going to do about the educators, what we're going to do about health, all of which are important. But see, for better or worse, he could do it if he didn't have anything else to do. But I need somebody as capable as Arlington, or Colson for that matter, who full time will recognize that this is his job. See, that's what we need. That all of us can put in our little ideas. Then you need a guy in the Congress, I agree. Roosevelt will be fine as running. He's mean, tough, ruthless, he'll lie, do anything. That's what you need.
The other guy might be McCarthy if he will do all those things.
I'm not sure whether McCarthy is conservative or not. He's been a prosecutor. The question is he conservative? I don't know.
That's the advantage of Johnny. You know he's conservative.
It's a virtue. It's not
Conservative.
What about that fellow Crane? Can he do it? No, he's a talker.
I think Crane is too much concerned with himself.
Philosopher. They talk philosopher.
He's not a doer. What about Ashbrook? Is Ashbrook good?
No. He's not reliable.
Can't trust Ashbrook. You can trust Roosevelt.
Mainly because he wants to get ahead. Well, you could use both Roosevelt and Heather for that, but you see, you've got lots of games to play here. Roosevelt, I think that the guy from Denver would be more credible when he gets up on the floor and makes a speech. That's one thing. But you aren't really worried about what?
You aren't really worried about that. If the guy's saying sensational enough stuff, it's trying to get it stirred up in the papers. You're waving the old McCarthyism business.
That's right. He wants somebody to be a McCarthy. Is there a senator? What about the senator? Is there one? Dole could have done it if he were still there. Is there another Dole?
Brock might come the closest.
Brock?
No.
No.
There's not a fellow.
Brock is not enough matter.
I don't think you're going to, the likelihood of a senator doing it seems to me not compared to a congressman. Congressman has such a great opportunity with this.
Yeah, that's right. Bob is right.
You take a pipsqueak like McKellar or Russo that nobody's ever heard of, he could make himself a senator overnight.
Yeah, that's right. He makes himself a senator. Well, coming back to the point though,
Especially the guy in Colorado.
I said, that's right, I said to you, Bob, I said to Bob a moment ago, that at least Colson's prediction about the last time I asked him on the phone about the Congress about the coverage and so forth, and I said, I wonder how the Times will play this. And I said, I don't think they'll give the Kennedy a ride. And Colson said they have to. You're right. They really gave it a hell of a ride. But that works.
No.
Kennedy thing.
They won't overnight, so they've got to pick it up from the paper.
And of course,
Networks don't have this stuff, theoretically, now.
Yeah.
So they only report the papers.
That's really juicy stuff today.
sure is. Oh, that's not the kind of, that's not a one-day story. That's a continuing thing. That's
Deanne, did you think so, Bob? Or do people maybe overestimating it?
No.
The murder of Deanne, Kennedy decided to go forward, and he got us involved.
They ran the pictures of Madame New and all that
That's
stuff.
great.
You know.
And it showed that Kennedy was the one that got us into the damn war. We got the Kennedys in this thing now.
Yep.
Now let Teddy come in and say his brother's being maligned.
He won't.
He won't.
He's going to stay just where he is.
Hell, he'd send his brother if he thought he could. Go out and snuff out the flame. He thought it'd help him.
Put up some holy water on it, those Catholic kids did.
Put it out.
Well, anyway, I come back to the proposition that I need. You see what I mean? I need an officer in charge. And I just want to, it's actually, it could be you, it could Colson, it could be Haldeman. You're the only ones in the White House staff that have
Could be Dick Allen.
yes, Allen could be it. I'm just not sure that we just don't need him more and more for this. If Allen is willing to play, he's willing to do it. But another thing, it's got to be a guy, Bob. This is the other problem. That is totally trustworthy, because I've got to talk to him very frankly about things that we want to do. In other words, I don't want him to make a big record, go out and blab it later. Well, the president ordered it, you know what I mean?
Well, that's why Houston is awful good, too.
I think Houston would die before he drowns. Good fellow.
And Houston knows more than anybody we've got around about where stuff is.
Does he
Yeah,
have
what
it?
there is.
Can he get the others to get the work done? Well, he can use other people to do it.
That's the problem with Houston is, you know.
But justice won't talk to him. Probably defense won't talk to him.
That's right.
There's your problem. Would they talk to Allen? They would, wouldn't they?
I'm not so sure.
He would know how to get it done.
You can force it. They don't have to talk to him. If Houston can't, they do it in my name or Oregon's name or Colson's name or something like that.
What I would really like, basically, is Allen and Houston together. I'd really like the two of them to come in, if they would work together, and say, all right, let's get to work here, and let the two connive and screw around and just duck their brains out. Just get my point. Getting back, though, Bob, I want you to sit in, if you would, on this business of this, whether we do something on the 6th. I just have a very great misgivings about going out now and popping off about these damn papers. I'm not, just don't think it's, I know the answer. The country needs to hear from you. The country needs the leadership, etc. I don't understand all that. I just wonder if
I'm not so sure the country really cares.
Maybe this time, much of it.
Not on the issue of the administration of the press. That I don't think they care about.
Yeah.
Papers are all going to be running.
Yeah.
It's going to be,
How long is the series going to be from?
well, we've got 4 or 5 more articles, and all the new papers we've got. The papers that haven't run them at all will start from the beginning. They may run for weeks.
Well, and then you have all the interpretive stuff. You're going to have
People looking at
If anybody talks to you when Johnson did it all,
he told Bill White that as soon as the Supreme Court made its decision, he would speak out.
Why don't you call White and see what that may have something to do with that. It's very much in our interest, John, to have Johnson talk.
Oh, sure is. The point is really that they did not hold that the government did the wrong thing or doesn't have the right to do this. They simply held that there's a heavier burden than there normally is.
Because of the stopping for printing.
Right, because of the presumptive...
prior restraint.
The presumptive...
You got the one line that I had on over that I gave you last night in regard to the New York Times,
Yes, sir.
where I said that the record has said that has now said that a newspaper is not, has no responsibility, it can print anything that does not do irreparable damage and cannot be enjoined. Now the question is, does a newspaper have any responsibility? Is it standard to be, we'll print anything unless it does irreparable damage? Or shall it standard be, we will only print news that's fit to print?
And
It's a very important point, this puts those Scots, Jesus, it puts them on a spot.
Oh, it sure does.
Because, they get up on their high and mighty horse and say, we gotta be fair and all that. So is irreparable damage, get this point into those in every speech, is irreparable damage the standard that the American press is proudly to hold up before the nation in the world? Is that it, irreparable damage? We'll print anything unless it does irreparable damage. Damage to the nation, understand? Unless it does irreparable damage to the nation. We'll print something. But the converse of that is, we will print something if it does damage to the nation. But we will not print something only if we are convinced it will do irreparable damage to the nation. See? That's a hell of a thing.
And who's
You're putting on the press the idea that they are not interested in anything but their own circulation.
There's a question on how deep Laird should go in this declassification of the 47 volumes.
Yeah.
And he's assuming that he should hold back roughly 25%. Now we have a basic list that we submitted to the court. It's a good list, it's a hardcore list. And that's 4 volumes plus about 80 additional documents, which is a little over 10%. Now,
That's what Laird was talking about last night. You know, he was objecting that it ought to be just the other way.
We also go back 90%, yeah. Go ahead.
well, Laird, they talked to him about something else raised this morning.
I know, I told him I want to sleep on it. You weren't having meetings.
Yeah, good.
That's what we were talking about last night, Bob, because we had this meeting and Laird raised it. Now, let's talk about this a moment. Is this a good time?
Fine.
Yeah, fine. Laird and Nixon both make the point, which I think is brilliant. At first blush, it's brilliant. They say, well, look, it's just, the documents are going to come out anyway. And second, we don't want to be repressive. Many of them coming back repressive. And so, now that the court has ruled, and now that the documents have already been compromised, we will declassify these documents and give them to our friends, as well as our enemies. Now, the danger with that is a fatal flaw. The danger is that any time your classification system is compromised by a debrief and by publication, which does not do irreparable damage. And I just said a moment ago, John, that we have the press on a very, very bad wicket here. When the lawyer for the Washington Post said, suppose the disclosure of these documents might jeopardize the prisoner of war things, he said, yeah, he says that's the price of the First Amendment. There's another question which should be asked. Martin Hayes, suppose the disclosure of these documents risks the lives of American men because of our infiltration procedures being compromised. That's the price of the First Amendment. Get that? In other words, our people should now demagogue that the press now is putting their right to make money, to profit from publication of stolen documents. That they have a constitutional right to profit, take this very carefully, from the publication of stolen documents under the First Amendment, and that overrides the right of an American fighting for his country to live. Now, that's the kind of stuff, Chuck, you've got to get into some of this material. Hit it and keep hitting it, and read them, and letters to the editor, embarrassing, send dirty letters, poison pen, and so forth. I know how this thing is played, and that's exactly what Klein is saying, and what the Post is saying, right? It says, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care whether it jeopardizes. Now, John, you got to set this up, because if we do have some announcements later to make this month, maybe that'll be a nod on something else we can point out. This couldn't happen if we'd had that rule. Now, the thing that I'm concerned about is that if declassification follows unauthorized disclosure, follows like the fellow that Richardson insists on keeping this cook. Now, let me tell you what he did. Everything was perfectly legal. He was against the war. That's perfectly legal. He was trying to get a story out which would hurt us on the ceasefire, for one thing. He opposed our position. That's perfectly legal. He leaked it to the press. That's perfectly legal. In terms of the Cho case, where we were very embarrassed, and where I had a private communication with Bunker. I said, Bunker, get it to you, do your very best to tell him to cool this thing. Cho's no good. Because it's hurting here. Bunker sent it over to the State Department. He took those secret cables, took them to Ellsberg, who had a Q clearance because he's a Rand Corporation. Perfectly would not get those goddamn things cut off today. Now you're doing that, aren't you? The Rand Corp, I told him, the Rand Corp, every outside group that has Q clearances has got to have them cut off, John. We cannot have it. Brookings has got tons of documents and safes over there. I want to know. We have got to start protecting the security security of this government. Brookings and Random. Now, God damn it. Haig has done this, though. Because Henry is, Henry Welch, he's a little afraid. He's got some friends in Brookings, I find. And he thinks, well, but anyway, he said publicly, he told me he was for it. But he's dragging his feet. They haven't done anything. We have got to get this stuff ran in Brookings. John, you follow up. You're in charge of that. And I want it done today, and I'd like a report. But let's come to this. If the precedent, if that is the base for declassification, the declassification system is destroyed. Don't you agree? Or do you agree? Maybe it's not. Well, now, the other side of the coin is this, is to have Laird put out the documents on the ground that, well, since some papers already have them, we're simply releasing the documents. In this instance, through other papers. They're in the public domain. Now, the difficulty with that is, doesn't that declassify?
You see,
you tell me what you want to do. Well, and then we'll tell Laird.
First place, there's a hardcore list.
Well, that
documents that we should never give out.
I agree with that.
Secondly, it seems to me very reactive and weak to accelerate the declassification so that a week after the Supreme Court decides, why all of a sudden...
Well, Laird, it takes 45 days to accelerate declassification. He's talking about immediate release while it's still classified.
No, that's right. While still classified, on the ground, that everybody that they're going to be printed anyway.
No.
Well, I don't think the government should join the New York Times in complying with the Supreme Court.
Just look at the cost then. There's 3,000 newspapers. Are we going to print 3,000 copies of the goddamn thing? It costs us $1 million.
The point is, we've got a system. And either we're going to make the system perform, or might as well do this.
Yeah, Laird has also announced, as you know, that he's going to give every member of Congress a backup, including that.
No, I haven't. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So he's reproducing 500 copies for Congress.
Because that isn't declassification, that's a little bit.
I know, it's not declassification, but it's a hell of a thing, John.
Why would he do that?
Because he said he would. Apparently, he'd be a good guy on the Hill.
They asked what he should do. Now, I'm telling him to change that by saying, because of the very physical cost and physical problems, he will put them up in the Congress, and any congressman can come to the...
We did that last week.
That is the way it's going to be. Coffee, please. Just got cold. Some more coffee, thank you. Okay. See, but he must say that. And what he can do is to add a couple of sets, so that congressmen don't have to line up. Say, I'm going to put 4 more sets, but I'm not going to have these all over the Congress, just 435, but I'll put 4 more sets in the room. You can all do it. So tell him to add. That way he saves his face. That it's just physically too much of a problem. And where's the congressman got 47 trunks?
No, it's a box.
47, where the hell is going to put him? He doesn't have that room in his office.
No, they're not. It doesn't think I must see a volume is only, that big. But it seems to me very basic that 45 days from now, what appears to be declassified is relatively innocuous, that it amounts to just about what has been published off the surface. Now, I understand from John Dean that the newspapers have stipulated, and apparently this is not known, they have stipulated that they will not print a number of these things in.
Mitchell made last night.
And this was alluded to on that television show last night.
You see, Mitchell was a stupid ass to allow that. You understand why?
Let's send off the hook.
Why, sure, it's out anyway. You don't let those sons of bitches look good. God, burns me up. That burns me up.
There is this January 15th Nixon declassification group.
But that's studying the problem.
All right, now they're studying the problem. And they're about 2 weeks away from coming to any kind of conclusion.
So they could take 3 months.
Well, now that's the question. You see, we could be embarrassed by their coming bouncing in with a bunch of conclusions.
Well, I want them to get, in view of this case, I want them to look at it much deeper. I want them to give recommendations with regard to what can be done about World War II, what can be done about Korea, what can be done about, and incidentally, if I don't get the Cuban Confrontation It's just ridiculous, John. And these are things that will embarrass the previous century. Put it out.
Here's my suggestion on what to do with this group. It seems to me if you met with them and gave them this additional charge,
All right.
you've got on there assistant attorney general and some assistant secretaries and whatnot. Give them this additional charge,
But without publicity.
no publicity and no content
I want
meeting out or anything of that.
publicity too. I want to meet with them.
Would you want it known that you had met with them? And the reason I think that might be good
All right.
is that it was
No picture.
no picture, just the fact on your schedule that you're meeting with the Nixon January 15th.
Regular meeting, it was planned on January 15th.
See, that ties us way back to January 15th, and it takes you up out of this whole the moil and toil of this context.
You see, John, I want them to take a hell of a lot more time. But will you get them in?
Sure.
Maybe this afternoon?
Sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned.
And if that guy can ever get that damn July 3rd thing, how much he got to be done tonight?
Now,
You don't think it looks reactive the day after the court decision?
well, I don't,
On this sort of
because this
first left, I'm saying it's a blend. It's going to get that much of a majority, but it makes the record that we are continuing to work on.
right back. Now, if you wanted a guy who would get in aggressively and under color of title to exploit this stuff,
Not only
suggestion would
not only exploit it, but let me be sure, let me give you more of what I want the guy to do. And I want all three of you to go to 6 Crises and read this case. Read the chapter again. And read it very carefully. Also, read the speech I made in this case in the House of Representatives about what I was up against. You will find the case was won before it ever came here. Before it ever came to the courts. Because I wanted the press. The reason it had to be done that way is that Truman, Tom Clark, Alex Campbell, the Assistant Attorney General in charge of the prosecution, and J. Edgar Hoover, I treated lightly, was there, would not help me. And I had to do it all myself. And when they were, now let me tell you, they were really strong things. And I found a little vignette one day, they played it too smart, they leaked something, and it appeared in a column, in the script Sauer column. That after the Justice Department ready to drop the case, that story was leaked by the Justice Department the day after Chambers had turned over the Pentagon Papers to the grand jury proceedings. And they leaked that because they intended to, they were terrified by that thing. They didn't know what Chambers would tell me. Now let me point my point out. What we're up here is an enemy worse than the communists because they refuse. We are up against people like this Cook. Now this Cook did all these things. What is Elliot? Elliot said, well, we got to defend him because he's a good guy. His father was an admiral when he went to Harvard. That's very nice. Now let me tell you about it. The son of a bitch is against us. He's against us in the war. He was for the ceasefire. He was for Joe. Did Ellsberg need to know this? Why did he take secret cables from Bunker on this case and show them to Ellsberg, who no longer is with the government, with Rand? Sure, Ralph Rand's got it clear. But did he need to show it? You know why he did it. He did it in order that Ellsberg, and this fellow Cook is part of the conspiracy within this country, so Ellsberg could then go around and do some brokering. That's why they did it. He had no reason not to know that Ellsberg was a fanatical anti-war guy, and Ellsberg did exactly what would be predicted. Cook says, well, I was surprised when it came out in the Washington Star. Sure, he was surprised. They're always surprised. And so you got him over there right now as Elliot's top man, top advisor. He'll rat on him. Now, I know nobody's going to do it. They're going to keep him because poor Elliot says, I've got to keep him. I predict this son of a bitch will rat on him on the domestic front before the election. That's all there's to it. You've got to start getting tougher out here on these people. I know them. That's why, Bob, I don't agree with you when you say let him stay. He didn't do anything illegal. Nothing illegal. But you ought to let him go because of bad judgment, at least. Bad judgment. If not, I think he's worse. I think he's worse.
I don't, and going on with this group, this declassification, they've been working without a staff. But they've got a powerful charge into that Nixon. And it occurred to me that if we find the right guy, he ought to become sort of the staff director of that thing.
Sure.
Give him the way to get into the woodwork.
That's a different problem. Fine. Give me a staff director and I'll put him in charge, but that ain't the guy I'm talking about. I want that guy to do all the public stuff, which means nothing. It'll help, because I can say, give me what I mean is, I do not want to be restricted, John, by what a group like that will do. They want to do it all by the book.
Yeah.
The way we win this is do it not by the book. We've got to do it underground. And also, we've got to give another guy who's going to do J. Edgar Hoover and Gate Mel Ware and so forth until we find out who the conspirators are. And then we leak it to the press. Now, a story's got to be leaked on Cook. You get the dope on that one. I want a story leaked to the son of a bitch. So that we do it right away. Cook. And then let Elliot Richardson defend it. We've got to brace our own people up. I have never yet seen a cabinet officer come in here and say, I've got a bad apple. To Kissinger's credit, he had a hell of a lot of bad apples, but he fired some. Anybody else fire anybody? No. Some of it is loyal.
Haldeman. He's got a few scalps, not
well, no, I agree. Now go ahead. But I agree, if you could get the proper director for that, that would be good. But I still need a man, an inside man, to work 30 games. You agree, Colson? See what I mean? The real question is, what is in it for us? For me to go on. Here's the problem as I see it. If I go on, the positive is I go on and explain, well now look, this doesn't involve us. It involves the previous administration. We, however, have an obligation to enforce the law. We've enforced the law. And it is important, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that we've got to continue to classify things because that's the only way we can conduct government. Thank you very much. Good evening. All right, that's going to be a hell of a speech. That's going to be great. People are going to be really reassured of that. Now, the other possibility, this will go on, is the other possibility. The disadvantages of that are, they'll say, what the hell? This administration is really involved. Why is Nixon trying to cover up? So they may think that already. But I'm not sure when you pick up the morning paper, for example, and find a whole ream of stuff about Kennedy and FDR and the rest. That's
The trying to cover up's all over with this. Now not being covered up, so nobody can argue about why you're trying to cover up. They would go back and say, why did you try to cover up? And nobody's going to give a damn. Now they're going to give a damn about why Kennedy murdered DM and why Jackson escalated the war.
Especially with Rusk going on for an hour.
What Rusk, see that's the other thing. Rusk is going on.
Maxwell Taylor this weekend.
I'm delighted Rusk is going on. Also, you're going to check the
Taylor's going on too. He's delighted Taylor's going on. He's awful good.
He's very good. He did a hell of a job once.
That's the one that talked with the president.
Yeah, I won't get anything this weekend.
Then we'll get a Monday story.
And stories are nothing.
Won't get any TV.
But on the TV side, thank God Rusk is going on. Rogers just might like the opportunity to step up to this thing if he's got a good speech. Okay, take care of your senators.
For setting back my class up to get those documents back.
Are you smart? I've got to go there.
What's he got?
These documents?
Larry says, he ain't gonna look so good. He's got some other documents. Murder him. He's got NSC documents.
That's what I said. And they're moving in on him this afternoon. And he wants something from us, so we're setting him up this morning. Doing this afternoon.
There's a gain on this. The question is whether you gain it by our momentum or whether you gain it by letting the opposition.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
The gain is the same thing.
The gain is
I just don't know. I'm not the one to judge it.
no, the gain long-term is letting the issue of the Democrats being unable to manage this government, the power elite from Cambridge falling on their ass, and let them fight that issue out. That isn't our battle.
The power elite really has failed.
The McGeorge Bundys of this world are finished. They no longer have this arrogant, infallible superiority that they can govern better than anybody else. They just got it. The papers in the New York Times today killed them.
Well, it's the Howard Smith one. Falls right into what we're trying to do. I mean, this is building a stand on establishment thing, and that's fine, as long as it's clear who the establishment is, which he does.
which we don't want to be.
And then the most anti-establishment guy there is the guy from the Oval Office.
The anti-establishment thing, he said, it is building as an anti-establishment thing. What's he mean by that?
No, I'm saying that's if it does go, yeah.
No, I fought the establishment all my life. That's why they hate us.
The Smith's line was just redefining who the establishment is. Don't make a mistake.
I mean,
The establishment is the president.
You see, the only one that really ever beat the establishment was when I beat him in the Hiss case. I mean, of course, I beat him on the fun and a couple of other things, and getting elected. But in the Hiss case, I beat him.
Staying alive.
In the Hiss case, beating him in the Hiss case was a deadly blow. They had never been beaten, and they never been beaten since. See, McCarthy's sin was not in attacking him, but in not killing him. And so I attacked him and killed him. And you're never going to get forgiven for that. Because he was one of theirs. One of theirs. Bob, is this important enough to let Ehrlichman? No. But we just can't afford that.
Take him off.
Is it important enough that we got to take maybe Chuck off of everything else and have him do the job? Understand? I can't have anybody do this job unless he only does if it's important enough. It can't be done. It's just out of my hip pocket. Because I know this is everything, and it's the most murderous and killing job there is.
You look at the price you pay. If you get somebody
Who could run the Colson office?
you get somebody who could put the 18 hours a day in, and Chuck could put 6 with it, and the other 6 on.
No, that is the way that I don't want it done in the usual bureaucratic way, where there's some faceless guy that comes in and is doing this. I want some guy that is living and sleeping with it that I can call in and tell him what the cops and robbers games are and how this thing is done. See my point? Is it possible that the best way to do it is to bring Houston in, put him under check?
That's what I was, in a sense, that's what I was saying. Get a guy that,
Will that work? I don't know. What do you think, Chuck? You understand, this is I don't think you understand how important, how tough this is. You can fight a deadly battle against the bureaucracy. You see, Blair's got a CIA, everybody thinks, what, the FBI? They don't come up with the goddamn. They'll just go up the trenches, and Huber's very careful not to get too deep involved in this.
Sure, anything political that gets...
I can push Huber a bit, and I can get something on it. But Laird's got a whole intelligence network over there. And Laird will play every game, but somebody's got to...
see, Houston's ideal on that, because that's where he's from. Houston was a lieutenant in the DIA.
I know it's there for Houston to go tell the general of the DIA what to do.
But Colson told the general, if Houston can program Colson on what's to be told.
Colson isn't the best in the world, justice.
No, but I think it's Houston can program Ehrlichman, Colson, me, whoever he needs as a name to get his stuff done. Houston can't do the stuff in his own name.
No, but I don't know whether Houston has the judgment to program it.
Well,
In other words, what we need is somebody to plan this great strategy.
The only thing I worry about...
Why?
The only thing I worry about with Houston is that
he's a little paranoid.
he picks the things that look good to him, and you can't budge him if something doesn't look good to him. And that's tough to get in.
That's right.
There's one guy on the outside that has this capacity and ideological bent who might be able to do all of this. Well, he's a very close friend of Jim Buckley's. He spent 20 years in the CIA overthrowing governments. He's hard as nails. He's a brilliant writer. He's written 40 books under pseudonyms. He scrambles. His name is Howard Hunt. He's here in Washington now, just got out of CIA, 50. Kind of a tiger. You might want to give out.
Sorry? How old is he?
50.
Sorry. That's all right. He can do it. He still have the energy.
Ideologically, he already is convinced this is a big conspiracy and can convince people.
I'd like to get Houston in and use it, though. I agree Houston is difficult and this and that, but we'll order the son of a bitch to do what needs to be done. You can order him, can't you?
Not very well.
Not very easily.
Houston, he really is. All right. Because he's great on the stuff he wants to be great on.
And
He's an arrogant little bastard.
It'll take you half an hour telling you why you shouldn't do something. It drives you up the wall.
All right. Well, there must be people like that around we can get her.
Well, let's see, you know what? Dick Allen is convinced there are, and that's why I'd like to talk to him about...
How about bringing Mervyn Walters back?
Well, I was just thinking that myself. When he mentioned the CIA, because he's a spy type guy.
I'm going to put him in that job, actually.
I'm not sure...
I
I think Walters knows enough about this stuff.
And I'm not sure he would play it. He would play it, but I think he might want to... Look, I don't want some guy that's going to try to second guess my judgment on this. Because I know more about it than any of them. I've forgotten more than any of them ever learned. And this is a game. It's got to be played in the press. That's why Mitchell can't. It's impossible for him.
It's got to be a guy you can really trust, because it's run from the White House without being caught.
This guy, Bob, I think I ought to bring him in for you to see the deck.
All right.
He's a publicist. He said he knows the outside business and the inside.
Well, basically, Bob, you and Chuck talked about setting, and Irving talked about setting up a procedure. Now, I don't want a committee to run this. I want one man that's responsible. Maybe it's Chuck. But you do need guys that need that are responsible. See, there are two different jobs. One, there's a declassification job. Maybe the thing that John talks about, putting a guy in charge of that we can, is good. Then there's the work on this conspiracy itself. That's another job.
That's the nut cutting.
Yeah. The declassification job is important.
John Russell or somebody else.
But the important part about the declassification job is to get the information